we're going to start off today with a film that has managed to avoid irritating me by casting a 16-year-old or almost 16-year-old as a 16-year-old. So honestly, that gets a pass right away, and I don't need to speak more about it. But Scott, Enola Holmes.
5 stars, says Paul Ross. It's Enola Holmes. So it turns out there's another scion of the Holmes family, at least as far as Enola Holmes is concerned. The entirely fourth wall destroying Enola, played by Millie Bobby Brown, is the younger sister of Henry Cavill's Sherlock and Sam Claflin's Mycroft, and had been growing up alongside her mother, the unconventionally strident Eudoria, played by Helena Bonham Carter, receiving a diverse education that encompasses both mystery solving and jiu-jitsu. However, it seems that things will change markedly when Eudoria goes missing. Guardianship falls to the chauvinistic Mycroft, who would sooner have Enola shipped off to a finishing school to become a proper lady, which holds little interest for Enola. She resolves instead to head to London on the trail of Eudoria, having uncovered a hidden message and a stash of cash. On the journey, she becomes embroiled in the problems of the young Viscount Tewkesbury, played by Lewis Partridge, on the lam from a bowler-hatted thug, and as it happens, both their problems are intertwined, leading to a begrudging respect between the two, despite the vast gulf in capability between them, as they unravel these threads. And, well, so it goes, in a relatively predictable but not entirely unenjoyable style. It's a light, breezy, young adult twist on the Sherlock setting, and everyone involved, but particularly Millie Bobby Brown, plays events with a light enough touch that their charisma can paper over the gaps in the somewhat meandering plot that's a bit too heavy on hammering home an important but not all that well integrated feminist message. But that's by no means enough to ruin a perfectly entertaining film, one that's not going to revolutionise cinema by any stretch, but it's more than enjoyable enough to pass a couple of hours with. Oh, and if you need any further examples of how copyright law is broken, the Conan Doyle estate filed a lawsuit against Netflix over this film, claiming that it violates copyright by depicting Sherlock Holmes as having emotions. This is silly, as is a lot of Enola Holmes, but a little bit of silliness is not unwelcome at this juncture in history. Drew?
Yeah, I really quite enjoyed this. I don't have much to say in response to what you said, Scott, other than yes. It's the feminist message is worthy, but it's very heavy-handed.
Yes.
And I feel that with just a little bit of tweaking, you could have got exactly the same message out of it without having to spell it out.
Yes. Yeah.
Or indeed, with no tweaking, really, just it's like a man's world, and there's this idea that Mycroft and Sherlock, particularly Mycroft, is really the head of the household, not the father's dead, and when he was like him being younger and all those things. Like, you know what, it's all really kind of obvious, and I just like saying, right, you go and you make sure you can make your own way in the world, Enola.
Yeah.
And it'd been fine without anybody saying anything. It's really obvious. It's kind of disappointing. It has to be quite so like on the nose about it.
Look, I know writers that use subtext, and they're cowards. So.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really solid. It's perhaps a little meandering, but it's funny, it's entertaining. I quite like to see more of Henry Cavill, actually. I thought he was playing Sherlock quite nicely.
Yes.
Because, he had emotion, so he's a human being, which is good. I feel it perhaps owes a bit of a debt to the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes films, although in this case it's more pencil drawings that are explaining what she's going to do and what she was thinking, rather than recreations of how he's going to beat someone up.
Yes.
I feel like it was playing a wee bit with that. I think the key is Millie Bobby Brown, especially because of the fourth wall breaking. If she wasn't likeable, that would be quite tiresome. But she is likeable, which is good, because there's I say they could get tiresome. There's quite a few of them. They're not. It's not that they say anything. It's just like a couple of really amusing looks to the camera.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes exasperation and sometimes like, oh, what do I do now? And they're actually reasonably subtle, in as much as fourth wall breaking can be subtle.
Yeah.
I wish they'd actually had quite as light a touch with the feminist message as the comedy beats they're getting from that. She's a likeable presence, and really, when you're casting a 16-year-old, it matters that they're 16.
Yeah. Yes.
It really changes how you feel about a film. Like, this felt like a young woman, a girl becoming a woman, that sort of age, like, right, and it fits in why she feels in some way vulnerable, and other times like the energy she's got, things like that. So instead of me watching this thinking, oh, I am so concerned about how this clearly 27-year-old is going to get on in this scene. Yeah, it's fairly lightweight as a film. I don't think it's going to stick in the memory particularly long. Not because it's bad, just because there's not a huge deal of substance to it, but it's entertaining and it's funny, and I can see it getting a sequel, and I would quite welcome it, actually.
Yeah. It's a bit of a confession, but it's a very likeable one, and I can't imagine anyone sitting down watching this and actively disliking it. It doesn't seem to do anything particularly badly, and it doesn't really do anything astonishingly really well, but it's just a nice, comfortably likeable film. I could happily watch one of these every couple of years, same as I could happily watch one of Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes every couple of years. Now come to think about it, it's just likeable.
Yeah, and you could just... I would probably drop Mycroft, because I still think Mycroft's a particularly interesting character, particularly in this incarnation, when he's Stephen Fry wandering about in the nutty, shocking Kelly Riley and the Guy Ritchie ones. That's actually quite funny. Yeah. And here he's just a bit of a miserable git.
Yeah.
I don't really think Slam Claflin's the problem. I think it's just the way that character's written. It's like, whereas having Sherlock here, and I quite like the way they had Sherlock be quite pleased that his sister was like doing better than him in one eye, rather than like think had been having injured pride or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, another couple of these with just like a wee bit of Henry Cavill Sherlock here and there, just mingled through the story. It's like, that would be quite fun.
Yeah.
One every couple of years for, even though they did 2 or 3 films in total, I was like, yeah, that would be a nice wee series. It'd be quite entertaining.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for a sequel for this one, because it's I don't think the conceit, particularly the fourth wall breaking and how they'd have to structure a story, I think it wouldn't stand up to being a television program or anything. Cause they would be trying to do too many. It'd get too formulaic very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, a reasonably regular film series, yeah, it could be fun.
Yep. Which is unusual for us to say.
Indeed.
Yeah.